Hi guys, welcome to my studio. So this is the view as you enter. There's a fake plant here welcoming you. And then on the right, I have a shelf whose second drawer always remains open for some reason. There's a ghost there. But yeah, that's my entry area. I have a bunch of boxes here, some shelves that are yet to come out of the boxes. But yeah, and a guitar. My husband used to come in initially and play some music while I was doing my work, but he stopped doing that since because it's too hot in the studio. So that's my entryway. I have a little desk here. It's an IKEA desk, but I found this on Facebook Marketplace and it was a sad beigey color, brown beigey color, and then I painted it on, added a stencil, and it has now this beautiful bright look to it, and I love it. With it, we have a little mirror here. So that's the entry area, because the idea behind the studio was not just having my work area, but also a place where I could display my products and also people could come in and buy if they wanted to. So that was the idea behind this space, and it's a decent sized space, as you can see. So that's why I made it a little bit nicer at the entry area, and then we have all the display shelves here. So let me just come back. So as we come in here, I have my display shelves. So right now I've actually displayed my pieces in like similar colors are together in one shelf. So we have the dark blue here. This is Clayscapes shadow blue. Yes, that's shadow blue. So I have all my shadow blue here. This is all Spectrum Holly Green. So they are all here. So there's some other Mako washes. So they come here. Again, all the pinks are clubbed here. Some pumpkins there, some mugs and stuff. I have all my turquoisey greens here. Then blue and white. Again, more blue, more pink. So I've just clubbed them in different colors. We're just trying out something new. So, and this is the one which kind of changes with season. So right now there's not much on here. I still need to do this one, but I wanted to film the video first because I know once I start getting into this, it's just going to take a lot more time. Anyways, coming back. So I have all my finished work on these shelves, and then I've also added some plants to add a little bit of greenery. Otherwise it can feel sometimes, too glossy and too hard. So we have a lot of plants there. Most of them are real, but I do have some fake ones because I tend to kill them. All right, so I have all of my display here, but in the shelves at the bottom, right at the bottom, I've added all the discounted pieces. These are the pieces which either have some issues, some glaze fit issues, or some kind of, crazing or things like that, or they just not up to the mark. So they're all there. They're all discounted. That's my discounted shelf, and the rest of it is all, nicer work. Oh, I just wanted to show you while we have you here. So this is already sold. That's why these are just kind of sitting together packed. So that's my display area. And then as you come in on the right hand side where you have this beautiful pink ghost drawer, I also have this another drawer here. This was I think black in color, and then I just painted on this beautiful turquoise blue and added the white birds and branches and things like that. So this is my area where I have, my tea and food area, so to speak. So I have this little tea box with different teas here, my kettle, some flowers. I was just testing the pour of my brand new teapot with my brand new texture pattern. So I was testing this out, so that's why it's right here. I was just filming that. And then I have this little area, which is a mess, but this has all my trinkets and stuff in there. And here I have a bunch of mugs. Most of them are from other artists. So for example, this is from a local Singaporean artist. Let me just show it to you. It's beautiful glazing. I love the glazing and the shape, of course. This is also from another Singapore artist. For that, it's a porcelain mug, really thin hand-built mug. This one's from a potter in Scotland. He just found his little, shop, and I picked up a bunch of these, this one and even this one. So he wood fires 4 times a year, and oh, it's beautiful. And he makes his own clay, makes his own glazes. It's incredible. Another one from another potter. And I have this one. This is from Bill, also a fellow potter and an amazing, generous human being. So that's that. So this is where I display all my mugs and stuff, and yeah, and the boxes underneath. So all the jars underneath have packaging material. Let me see how filthy this is. So yeah, it has all my packaging, paper bags. So a lot of packaging material is in there, not the boxes, mostly just the paper bags and other pouches and things like that. Next to it is another shelf. Again, these are all repurposed. These are all I found them on Facebook Marketplace. In fact, most of the furniture that you see here is a Facebook Marketplace, because I didn't want to buy brand new furniture for the studio, because I had just invested in the studio space, and then it made sense to reuse a lot, repurpose a lot of. That's why I had to look at my finances before I kind of went crazy with the furniture. But yeah, the shelves are all new. These are all IKEA shelves, metal shelves. I prefer these to wooden shelves, though the wooden shelves look a lot better. They add that extra, that element of nature and softness. But A, they were more expensive than these. Secondly, the other issue is that, and what I'm worried about is, given that I'm in Singapore and Singapore has a lot of humidity and moisture in the air, I'm always worried that my wood is going to get moldy, because even these shelves that you see here, some of them, so for example, something like this, which I use, these stands, they also sometimes will have a little bit of the dark mold on them. So I do kind of treat them and clean them periodically. So that's why wood is a little bit of a problem from that perspective, because of the weather in the country. But otherwise, they definitely look a lot better. So that's IKEA. These are all Facebook Marketplace, and again, they hold a bunch of random things. Nothing really of consequence here. And then I have a little air filter. Again, this I picked up from Facebook Marketplace, and a small fridge there at the bottom. And I have a bunch of fans. You'll see I have 4 fans in my studio. There are 2 there, and then there's this one here. Because it's hot and humid, you need a fan running all the time, literally. So that's my fan. And then I have my vegging table. So this is my vegging area, and it looks messy and dirty, and that's part of a pottery studio. You can't make it beautiful all the time. I mean, I try my best, but it's not always feasible. So that's my vegging table. It's slightly lower, so it's easier for me to kind of roll out my slab, stretch my hands and roll it out. And then I place all my rolled slabs onto this table. This is actually, it kind of moves. It comes with those tires there, and it moves. So I have those. I have all my measuring sticks, some rounder forms and other things, miscellaneous things there. In fact, underneath this pile of plastic is a sad wheel sitting there. I bought the wheel, but I haven't tried it yet. So it's been more than a year since it's been sitting there. And then this is another desk. So when I started, my first studio was actually my guest bedroom, one of the guest bedrooms in my house. And to start with clay, I had bought this particular table because I wanted something which was slightly higher, because I didn't like the idea of being, hunched over, bent over and working all the time. So I picked up this is like a bar table. So that's what I picked up, and I started working on this. And I worked on this for almost 2 years. And then finally, when I moved here, I wanted something bigger. And I realized that for some of the work, especially when you're rounding off the rims or you're working on the banding wheel, you need to kind of bend over. Then I had to, usually move to a smaller table and do that work. So now I just have a normal dining table as my work table. We'll get to that in a second. That's what I use for my work table. And this is now more like a packaging station. So it has all my stationery in one side, some random stuff, and also it's my photo booth. I have this double-sided, stiff paper. I've just put some double-sided tape on the side, on the back, and I've put it here. And this is where you see a lot of the shots that I take for my Instagram and things like that. So this is where I'll do my photo shoot, and it's a permanent spot. I don't have to set it up every time. It just sits there. It's easy for me to just do that. And when I need to package things, then even that doesn't really bother me. I just have to clean up the rest of the stuff, and I can continue with my packaging here. So this is where I have a lot of my packaging supplies. This holds all of my packaging supplies. Again, this was I think a shoe rack that I picked up from Facebook Marketplace, and then I added this roller design on it, colored it, painted it, and did this. Anyways, this also has all of my packaging material, all of the boxes and stuff. Oh my god, that's messy. Yeah. So you'll see all of the boxes and packaging is in there. That's my bubble wrap. That's the last one I have. Once I finish with this, then I'm going to move on to the Ranpak, the, what's it called? The beehive paper or whatever. So I do use it from time to time, but I still need to finish off the last roll of bubble wrap that I have in my studio. So that's all my packaging material. Here is all of my packaging supplies. Yes, it's a mess. I tried, but I gave up. So that's it there. Also, I have some extra stands like these sitting here because these are the ones that I'll carry with me to various events. I'll just prop them up on my table and I can display out my mugs and smaller pieces in there. And underneath this, covered with a beautiful white cloth, are some boxes. They are, I couldn't find any other place for them, so they just, in this box, and I've just covered it with a white sheet, with a white, piece of cloth, so it doesn't look too dirty. Well, so that's that. And these are again all packaging storage stuff. Coming back, these are my work tables. So I have a few. So whenever I have classes, this is where I usually have my students kind of sit around this table. It's a bigger table. And then I have another one here. This is smaller, but this is a temporary one which I've just placed here because I need to do some packaging and some other stuff. So this is a temporary one. You can just fold this and put in a corner. Easy to kind of move around. This is my main work area, and this is where I film all of my videos. And those are the lights right there. So this is where I'll film. I have a speaker here. I have this stand here, which usually will be overhead like this. Oopsie. And this is where I have most of my working things. So I have this board here, which is obviously my main work board that I use. And then my bucket of water, all the tools are all sitting here, and then my fake plant. I started with a real plant, then it kept dying on me. So now I have a fake plant here. It just, I think it makes the videos look a little bit, or the images look a little bit, better, beautiful. It just beautifies, it adds an element of beauty to it. So I enjoy it. So I just leave it there. It doesn't bother me too much. If it does, if I'm working on something and it's taking up the entire area, then I'll obviously pull it away and throw it away. But most cases it works. And then I have my rest of random stuff, whatever I need right here. There's another table that I've placed kind of next to it. And as I'm making pieces, I'll keep moving my pieces onto this table. And then, as this table fills up, I'll move them on this side. But it helps to have more, table space so that, especially when I have students around, at least I don't have to move my work. I can continue working in this space, I don't have to clean up or do anything. And the students can kind of work around this area. So that's my table setup. Now let me just show you some. So the good thing about the studio was the fact that it had a water connection. So it has a sink there. It's nothing pretty, but it has a sink. I have access to running water, which is great. Also, I picked up these storage. These are, thick plastic material. These storage shelves for like $10. Somebody was selling them off really cheap, so I bought 2 of these. Again, they will hold all kinds of random things. They have some silicone molds there, random stuff. Again, some tests, some things I'm working on, more molds. I'm just trying to see what all do I have here. So I have a lot of, I think, the Christmassy stuff here, which I'm not going to be using, till the end of the year. So they all will be here. And I have my textured paste mats there. So there's plenty of storage here. I think that's one thing you need a lot, especially if you're into texture for ceramics, and you need to spend, some little bit on your storage. That's important. And obviously I'll have a bunch of plants. These are real. And then I usually store some of my clay here. The clay that I'm working with usually will sit here. Right now I'm on my last 3 bags, but I have a bunch of other clays that I have to finish up. So I'm not buying more of these till I finish those up because they've been lying for over a year. and I need to get to them. So that's there. And then I have these IKEA boxes which will store some of my seasonal stuff. For example, all the Christmas stuff is packed inside. Now there's a box here from my first round of pieces that I ever made. They're horrible, but I mean, they're horrible in the sense they're part of my journey. So I keep them there. I don't sell them, I don't throw them, but they sit there. It reminds me of where I started. They are there. And then again, seasonal items, some items for the events. So all of those are in these boxes and they sit here. Not looking very pretty, but who cares? So that's the storage. Now, so these are my work in progress racks, and there's nothing you can do to make them look pretty, so I've given up. So these will have some of my cracked pieces, some of my test pieces, some work in progress. So for example, I have 3 of these peacock platters. They're yet to be colored, glazed. So they're sitting there. There are mugs here which I can't decide how to glaze, so they are sitting there. I have some tests and things. This is from 2 years old, I think, 2 years back. This is also pretty old. Yeah, this is a bisque form that I got from, I think I was in Germany, from a pottery supplier in Germany. I thought I'll try and make a mold of it, but I haven't gotten to it. It's been 2 years. We'll see. So yeah, there are some pieces which are works in progress or have issues with them, but I don't have the heart to throw them. So for example, all of these are my palettes, watercolor palettes, but they all have, so while this is completely functional, you can use it. It's not going to really say it's perfectly functional, but it can't be sold, right? Because it has this weird crack there. So I have all of these, random pieces, and they're beautiful. I have a lot of friends who are artists, so instead of throwing them away, I just ask them if they need these. So I'll just, pass it on to them. So yeah, those are there. All my work in progress will be right here. Bisqueware tests. I have some test tiles sitting in here. So that's there. Some wobbly things that I made that are yet to be finished. So there are some finished pieces as well over here, but they need to either have to be sanded, like the base is sanded or things like that. See, I haven't finished pieces from Halloween. They're sitting there. So I'll get to them at some point, but that's what is here in these 2 shelves. Now these are metal shelves again from IKEA. They are great for holding all of these pieces. I think they work so well. And at the bottom, I have a bunch of these forms. So there are some which I have made, and a lot of them are GR pottery forms. So these are my bisque molds. These are all made from different plates and platters that I picked up from IKEA or other supermarkets. These are really cheap stuff. You just pick them up and you can make these different molds with them. Then I have these workboards, different sizes. This is a small one, the round ones, some GR pottery forms. Also these big bowls which I use to drape on to make my bigger bowls and pieces. Similarly, some other forms and stuff. So here are some of my plaster of Paris forms. So the lower 2 shelves have mostly the forms. There you see some more there. So these are mostly pottery molds and forms and things like that. And I have these ornaments which are yet to be glazed. All right, so that's there. And then I have my rollers up here. These are my wall rollers, the silicone rollers. Place them up there. That was one of my classes that I learned how to make the teapot from one of the classes. Again, probably 3 years old. It's been sitting there for 3 years, yet to be glazed. Here I have all of my stamps. So these are my stamps that I use in clay. All of them will sit in here in this box. These are random textiles and random stuff. These are some more forms that I had made. Then I have some of my clay presses here, other random stuff goes there. This is my glaze. All the mostly brush-on glazes are right here. I have Amaco, which you can find in Singapore. I have Spectrum, again available in Singapore. Both of these, I think these are the only 2 brands that I can find in Singapore. But again, you don't get the complete range of colors. Yeah, you'll be like, yeah, you have a million boxes, you have a million jars there, and you're saying you don't get the range of colors. A lot of them are repeats, and also I do pick up glazes or other supplies whenever I'm traveling. So for example, I was in Scotland last year. I picked up a bunch of these, bought 2 of these big bots glazes, because again I don't find them here. Then I was in Germany before that, I think, and then I picked up Mako. I was in Spain, I picked up a bunch of glazes there. Now, so there are some other glazes here which I just bought in powdered form, and they are mixed and they're sitting there. So these are all my glazes, basically, everything that you see here in this. These are mostly brush on. Some of them are dip and pour, but I use them to brush them on. So that's that. And then this is my baking rack, which is covered with plastic on all the sides. So this is just the dry cleaner plastic. So yeah, I've kind of taped them on to make this work. And inside is where all of my work in progress is drying. I don't have too much right there, but I do have some Christmas stuff which is pending to be fired. There are some Christmas platters there which are yet to be fired, but yeah, so that's my work in progress. Usually the pieces which are drying haven't gone into the kiln for the first time yet. Usually those are the ones sitting here and drying. So that's my drying rack. And then next to it is another couple of these shelves. Again, these will mostly have a lot of underglaze colors, Mako washes and that kind of stuff. So that's what I have here. Some other small tools and stuff. So for example, I got a set of these rings to make round plates and stuff. So that's here. I have these Amacos mugs here. These are underglazes and colors that I bought from an Indian company, and I'm trying to get them to start worldwide shipping so I can share more details and you guys can access them. These are some Mako washes, copper wash and things like that. So that comes here. This is a drill. Yeah, I use that sometimes. So random things, and then some sponges and random stuff is in here. Now this is another storage drawer which has a lot of my stuff with a fake plant. That's real and this is fake. So yeah. Okay, so I have my molds in here. All my silicone molds are sitting inside this drawer. I have a whole bunch of them. Maybe if you guys want to see all the molds I have, let me know. I can do a video. It's fun. I enjoy looking at other people's, tools and materials. All right, this has a bunch of random stuff. So I have a lot of these stencils in here. So this entire, file is with stencils. Then I have some underglaze transfers in here. Oh, I have a lot of Christmas stuff. So there's a lot of random stuff in here. Ugh. Okay, and then I have my drawer full of, all these doilies and laces and whatnot. So they sit in here. So again, having this kind of storage system helps. These are all of my templates made with foam. Some are bought, like this is from Plum Island Transfers, I think. Yeah, so these are from them. Most of them I make, but then sometimes I buy some fancy ones if I can access them. And this also has, I think, more templates. Oh god, Christmas is still live in my studio. So here, and then I have another, the last one is mostly just these, ribbons and strings and things like that. So, that goes in there. So that's my storage here. And then next to it is another movable rack if I need to move things around, but it usually sits there and has random stuff on it. So don't ask me. So yeah, that's what most of my studio looks like. I've kind of covered most of it. That's mostly my work area where I work every day. And then if that was messy, welcome to the real mess. This is where I have all of my glazes and my kilns and everything stored. So let me just turn the lights aside and I'll show you what all we have here. Welcome to my studio, the real mess. Let me show you what all mess I have. So here are my dip and pour glazes. Then all of these buckets. Some of them I make in my studio. There's a white glaze I make, there's a clear glaze I make, but most of them are just powdered glazes that I buy, and then I mix them up and then keep them in these buckets in the studio in the back here. Next to it is another shelf which has a lot of my clays. So if you see, there are about, I think, at least 20 bags of clay in there at the back. So there's a lot of clay I have which I have to finish up and I'm just not getting to it. Anyway, so that's my clay storage. That's my glaze storage, and these are my kilns right here. That's the big one that I got this year, and that's the one which I started with at home in my balcony. That's my kiln where it all started. So yeah, that's my first kiln. And next to it, I have all the, it has, okay, so that's the size of the kiln, you know, shelves. So kind of get a better idea. It's a tiny kiln. And so that's the kiln furniture. Next to it, I also have, you'll see these bisque pieces. So I don't throw the pieces which crack in bisque, the flat ones mostly, because then I use them as cookies. So if I am using a glaze which I know is drippy, I will usually add this underneath the piece, so that in case the glaze melts too much, it's not going all the way down to the kiln shelf, but this will catch it. So I just use these broken pieces and I place them underneath the flowy glazes, and that usually saves me a lot of heartache, because if you can see, my kiln shelves don't have kiln wash. I would never ever recommend that you do that you do without a kiln wash. It's always a good idea. It is always recommended to kiln wash your shelf. I don't know, I was lazy and I regret that, because then I have a lot of issues on my shelves. They have a lot of, you know, glaze drips and things like that, but then now I have to use these all the time to make sure nothing sticks to the kiln shelf. I can still kiln wash it. I was looking for it the other day. I couldn't find where my kiln wash is. I'll get to that, I promise. So that's my kiln area and my glaze and clay area, the messy, ugly bit. But the good thing is that the kilns are next to these windows and they are mostly open. So whenever kiln is firing, I'll make sure that the windows are open so that, you know, the gases and everything can escape. Also, if you see here, that's my little plaster board. Right now, I'm just drying my clay crumbs on. This I usually use when I'm trying to dry out really slurry clay. But right now, because I don't have that, I do have that, but I'm just drying out my clay so it dries faster, and then I can kind of move on to the next part of the recycling thing. So that's there. Let me now show you my work area. So moving from the kilns onto this. So this is my little office area. I have more storage here on the side. Now this has again a lot of stuff. There are boxes inside, there are, you know, tea lights, there's some packaging things, some jute bags with my branding and stuff like that. So that all, again, some paint supplies, random mishmash of stuff right here. And then this is where I usually will have my laptop. If I'm working on other things, I have a little fan going there. And again, some storage with my lusters up here. They have a special place and a few books. And again, some more storage, boxes and random stuff. Not very pleasant looking, but yeah, that's the area where if I need to kind of work. And I like a little bit of a separation here, because if I have people working out there, that's a view from here. If I have people working out there, I can kind of sit back here if I need to and do my work. So that's my little area in the corner, and that's about it. That's all I have for my studio tour. So that's my studio tour. I hope you enjoyed it. I've tried to show you every nook and corner, and you kind of get a glimpse into my everyday life, what I work on and how I work. This is my happy place. I love coming to the studio every day. I love creating things. I love making things. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions about any particular product or I don't know, anything else, just leave them in the comments and I'll get back to you. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.